Redemption Farm Seed Swap, May of 2020.
All right, I'm going to start, and I feel like I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. Welcome to our farm. This is Redemption Farm, and I am so excited to have everybody here. I was praying today, God, what do you want me to share? And he didn't really download that many plant things to share. So I was like, I'm going to share what's on my heart, what he gives me. So I'm nervous because I don't do well with this. I do well one-on-one. Everybody that knows me knows that I can talk. I can talk all day long.
No problem.
No problem. But having so many faces look at me at once is like, okay, it's good. Anyway, I hope everybody feels welcome. I'm so excited to see what's here. And I'm going to start with my story. So I grew up Amish. Most of you know that. And growing up, I was always around a garden. Like, we always had a garden. We always had a huge garden. Actually, we always had 2 gardens. And my job was picking weeds. I hated gardening. Hated gardening. When I got married 8 years ago, I said, Mom, I am never going to have a garden. I hate gardening. All the canning is disgusting. And I'm not going to garden. And look at me. I am teaching people how to garden. And I love it. I feel like I have connected with God so much through gardening. That's my worship. That's how I worship. That is where I meet God. That is my time when I'm in the dirt, when I'm in, like, that's where I meet God. And I absolutely love it. And so tonight, I just hope that my heart is for everybody here, that we can build community, that we can encourage each other. I am here to learn from you. I am not I have so much to learn yet. I am trying so many new things every year, and I'm like super excited to learn new skills. And so I tried something new this year and I failed. I will share my failures because I don't want to be the gardener where it only shows the good parts. So I did a live on my green beans, and they were beautiful, but I had to get them out because they were growing out of the pots and I didn't want to transplant them.
Sorry.
Come in.
I live so far away.
You can have a seat. I didn't want to transplant them. And so I planted them and I killed them all. They got too hot and then they got too cold and I killed all my green beans. But it's okay. I can plant more. I just wanted early green beans. And I'm going to try again next year. It did not stop me from trying. I will try again next year. And then I was like, and it's been on my heart. I was like, how can I build community? How can I build it? I know I have so many friends that are gardeners. I have so many friends that like to get together, talk about gardening, do all things homesteading. But we all have our own corner. We all have our own space that we're gardening. And I just wanted to build an evening where we get together and we share. Everybody shares. You talk about your garden, you have tips. Everybody here has a garden, or most of you, I believe, have a garden. And you all have success. You all raise crops. That makes you a successful gardener. We probably all do it differently. And that's what I love about it, because there is not just one way of gardening. And I asked a couple questions on what to speak about, what do people want to learn? And I got a lot of feedback on tomatoes. People want to learn about tomatoes. A lot of people have problems with their tomatoes. It was crazy because that's what I've been studying all winter long, was tomatoes, because I've had issues with my tomatoes. I'd have an awesome crop. My plants would just die. They would all get brown from the ground up, and I'd have these brown wilty plants, gorgeous tomatoes, but how can I have gorgeous tomatoes and gorgeous green plants? So I did a lot of research. And these I started for the first time. I have successful plants.
That is really pretty.
They weren't watered, no. They need to be watered. But I started them in little cells, and then when I transplanted them, I put them all the way down to the bottom, and I like probably all the way up to here. I like when I repotted them, and then I did it again. This is the second time. Like I always repotted them, and then on like now when I go to plant them, I'm going to take an egg. I'm gonna dig a hole. I'll measure like from here, probably all the way up here. I'll take these bottom leaves all off, and I'm gonna bury it this deep. I'm gonna put the egg in the bottom, take my shovel, crack it, and plant these on top. Why use the egg? I'm not sure. I know there's calcium in it for the shells. I know they need calcium, but I heard from a garden that's a very successful tomato grower that she does this. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try that. And then she also prunes, which I do every year. I take my suckers off of the plants, which are like the little that grow in here in the, like in the, kind of the elbow of the plant. I always prune all those off. Like, I don't go out every day, but a lot. I go out and I just take those off and prune them. And I feel like that helps where like there's airflow. But one thing I've never done, so tomato plants do not like to be wet. They don't like their leaves. They don't like to be wet at all. And they want to be like not dry, but more of a dry, like they definitely want to be bottom watered. And so where the disease comes in is always from the bottom up. Your plant always starts like getting the disease from the bottom up. And so I'm going to prune them. I have tomato cages. Some of you, I don't know how you guys trellis them. I have I cut cattle panel, and I have them like in sections where there's 2 sections. And then like, I don't know, I should have grabbed some and brought them in here.
Where do you have
I have them out in the garden where you can look at them later if you want to look at them. But I can pull them apart. But anyway, and then I'm going to probably the bottom 12 to 18 inches. I'm going to strip all the leaves, keep all the leaves off of the bottom of my plant. That way when it rains and it splashes up, it won't hit my leaves. And I can keep them dry on the bottom. If you use cattle panel, just one straight cattle panel, and you put them on your T-posts, like keep them about 12 to 18 inches off the ground. That way that you can go higher with your tomato plants. Keep tying them up, and you don't start at the bottom. And then just prune the bottom, keep all the leaves off the bottom. The bigger they get, just keep the leaves. And so that's what I'm gonna try this year. The person that I learned that from has a beautiful rows of tomatoes. So I am gonna be doing that. That is just some tips for tomatoes this year. I was gonna, if anybody has any questions about tomatoes or anything, any questions, I'd be willing to answer. I'll try to answer. If you're welcome to ask, feel free. I am going to have Miss Stacy. She is going to be talking about herbs for a little bit, and then we will come in, and then we will. I have sandwiches, salad, watermelon, and some people brought some amazing, yummy like cinnamon rolls and cookies and other good stuff over there that we will all enjoy, and just have an evening. And for what the swap looks like, I don't know. It looks so pretty. The people that brought stuff, I want them to have first choice. I am sure there's plenty here for everybody to take something home. But if you brought something, feel free like to go up, be the first people to go up and get, whatever, just pick through. If somebody has a better idea, I am so open to suggestions. I absolutely, would love to hear it. I don't know. I was asking some people, how do they do it? Have they ever been to a seed swap? And, if you would bring your stuff and, swap it out. But I had no clue how much stuff was coming. I had no clue how many people were coming. I had no clue, what to expect. I mean, Miss Stacy brought, so much amazing stuff over there. Like, that whole table is her stuff. and she did an amazing job of, bringing tons of stuff. So yeah, does anybody have any questions about gardening or homesteading or anything? Feel free to ask, and we can, you can ask later too. Yes, Sarah?
I'm curious how you, what were your seeds when you started your tomato plants by yourself? Did you get your own, did you take, do your own seeds, or did you just, buy seeds from someone?
I bought heirloom seeds. So this year, thank you. I have almost all of my seeds are heirloom seeds this year. And I've been doing a lot of research on harvesting my own seeds that are not cross-pollinated, because tomatoes cross-pollinate. And so I am going to be showing, as I'm learning, how to save your seeds, because I would love to have a community where we have heirloom seeds, and we could bring those seeds to the swap. Because the heirloom seeds all have such an amazing story, and it is so cool to save, to have them. So I do. Most of these up here that I have are all a cherry tomato. I think most of them are a cherry tomato, and I'll be doing a video. Like I said, I'm learning this year how to save the seeds, but these are all heirlooms. I think jade green beans is the only thing that is not an heirloom, and I have let those go to seed, and I have had jade green beans again, but I think they're considered a hybrid, that they're not an heirloom. So.
How can you tell, when your tomatoes cross-pollinate? Can you tell in the seed, or how do you know if it's a good heirloom? Because you started with all heirloom.
So a cross-pollination is that's not necessarily a bad thing in your garden. But if you want to swap seeds, and if you want to trade or whatever, sell seeds, whatever you're doing, keeping that seed where it it's in that, because what it will do, it won't necessarily be a bad a bad tomato. You might grow something that no other garden has, and that's so cool to me. If I grow what's just in everybody's garden and what's in the grocery store, when everything's in season, going to the grocery store, all the produce is on sale. And it's why am I doing all this work when I can just go there and buy a zucchini for 50 cents? I've been weeding this, I've been doing all that. Well, the cool thing with heirloom seeds, they're unique, they're different. You can buy so many cool, different types. And then for the cross-pollination, it's okay. But you can't swap it for, this is a creamberry. So I could swap it with, it could cross-pollinate with the blueberry. It's a creamberry and a blueberry. It might be a really, really cool tomato. And that's awesome if it stays in your garden.
The thing is, you don't know what it's going to be the next year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because, and you don't want to swap it and say, hey, this is a blueberry, because then that person will pass that seed on, and it's not the purebred blueberry anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So it's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's not a good tomato. It could be something really, really cool. But it's just I wouldn't recommend passing it on as, if you didn't do something to self-pollinate it, so it's not cross-pollinated, then I wouldn't swap them or trade them, or sell them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's funny because I think it was 2 years ago, I bought tomato seeds at a greenhouse, and that tomato plant literally produced a pepper tomato. It was the funniest thing. It didn't have any of the juices inside. It was it was red and shaped like a tomato, but the inside was like a pepper. I was like, what?
And so it was really cool to have that. I mean, it's okay to have that in your garden, but if you would have given that seed to somebody and said, this is a tomato, they would have probably been disappointed, because, and that's a really good reason to do something. And I feel like it was so intimidating for me to learn how to self-pollinate, and it's still intimidating to me, but not as much anymore, because Like, I think we overthink stuff. We overthink so much stuff, and it's actually not as hard. Like, in our minds, it's so much harder than if we, like, okay, take this tonight, for instance. I could have been like, well, I don't know how, I'm not going to do it. Because I have no clue. But for me, it was like, let's just get together and have a night of, like, have an amazing evening together. And then I could have been, well, I don't like talking in front of people. Well, I still don't like talking in front of people, but it, like the reward, what?
Right.
It might get easier.
It will, and it does. And the reward of it, like, I want this. Like, this is so my heart. Like, today, I told Jason, I was like, I have never done anything in my life where I'm so, I'm like bouncing off the walls excited for tonight. Like, I have gardening people coming. It is so cool. Like, there's gonna be so many gardeners in my shop, so many, people at Homestead. Like, I was like a little kid screaming, like, like, this is so cool. And I absolutely love it. Like, absolutely love it. But if I would have not done that because I don't know how it's gonna turn out, kind of like self-pollinating a tomato. If you're not going to do it because you don't know how it's going to turn out, then you're never going to reap the benefit of what you could have. Like,
Very true.
yeah. And that's what I'm learning with a lot of stuff. Yes.
So how do you keep the plant from pollinating if you don't want it to pollinate?
So I've never done it. So I've just been doing studies. I know I'm going to get those little, like, mesh baggies where you get for weddings, like where you do like the what?
Mint?
Yeah, like the little party bags, like. And so when my flower is still closed, I will put that on the flower, and I know I'm going to tie a ribbon around it so I know which one. And then you take a brush and you have to pollinate it, and I have to watch videos on how to do it. And then you don't have to do the whole tomato plant. Like, if you just do, because one tomato has so many seeds in it, like so many seeds in one tomato. And so all you need is like one or two, depends on if you're just doing it for yourself or if you're doing it to share. Then like one tomato will produce so many seeds, and you just do that one tomato, tie a ribbon around it so you know which branch it was or which, blossom that you self-pollinated. And that's as far as I got. I mean, I know, like, you take it in, you squish it into a cup, and you let it ferment because it's got, like, it's like a jelly, like,
Yeah.
Like, you have to, it's a protectant over it because, when you have, like, a lot of heirloom seeds and then your property, pretty soon you have, like, a ton of, like, self-sprouting, like, tomatoes, like, a lot of tomato plants come up again. Well, that protectant is on them purposely to save those seeds. And if you put it, like, squish the tomato into a jar and it ferments and that coating comes off. And then you just dry them, like, make sure they're dry and put them in a Ziploc bag or jar or whatever to keep them dry. And mark them, even though you think you're gonna remember. Like, if you're a good gardener, you'll have this in your, everywhere. Like, Sharpies are your best friend. But just, like, that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'll do videos on it when I'm doing it. So.
Very interesting. So then all the other tomatoes on that same plant could be cross-pollinated because, like, the bees do it.
And butterflies and whatever, yeah.
Hummingbirds.
Yeah.
Right.
And so everything could be cross-pollinated, but if you protect it, if you got it when it was closed, and then you pollinated it, it can't cross-pollinate.
That's really cool.
So.
Is there a way to know if it is cross-pollinated or just like it could be?
No, because the only way to know is the next year if your fruit's not the
Yeah.
same. Like, if, like, as far as I know, that's the only way to know. And like, so your watermelon, your zucchini, all your melons and your cucumbers, those cross-pollinate. Your tomatoes can all cross-pollinate. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember. Does anybody know? Do you know? Do peppers cross-pollinate? Do those? I'm not sure. I don't think they pollinate with anything else, but I'm not sure if peppers cross-pollinate. I'm not sure.
Well, actually, yeah,
Your
if I got a
tomato.
tomato pepper plant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
They totally were messing with each other.
Yes.
It was
So that's,
Can you?
You do with your produce.
I cut them
I,
up
like,
and
I
had
know
them-
you need a very soft
Because they didn't
brush,
have to do so.
and I think people use like a soft paintbrush to pollinate them, but I'm just gonna have to mess with them. Like, you just, I don't know, I have to do a lot more, like, so, and I will be doing videos as, you know, I'm doing it, but I know, like, I know, like, the person I follow and, like, if you guys wanna watch, is Roots and Refuge. I have learned so much from her, and I know she, saves all her seeds. Like, she has videos on how to do it, and that's who I'm gonna be learning from. And so, I'll be doing videos too, and my heart is I want to save my seeds and grow my tomato, like, I want to have my tomato plants to sell at my next swap. I would love to have tomato plants to sell. But I would also have seeds to swap if you want to grow your own. And so, no, I would love to make this a yearly thing, and make it where we're not just swapping seeds, but we're swapping, like, I know some of them, like, it was so cool, they brought scobies, like, for kombucha, like, stuff like that. I absolutely love, like, all things homesteading. Like, I don't think there's all things, like, homesteading stuff that I don't love. Any other questions? Miss Stacy, do you want to share about herbs? She said that she would share about herbs. So that was the second thing that people wanted to learn about. So this is Stacy Anderson, and she will share. And she has like everything printed out and so organized, and I'm like doing it by the seat of my pants, and I'm like, so yes, it's so awesome. But
That's great.
Well, I only have it printed out is because I don't really remember all of the medicinal properties of every herb that I have. Because they like, a lot of them kind of have the same properties. So it's like, oh, is lemon balm the same as marshmallow? Or like, yeah. So, but who here does do herbs? It can be like your culinary herbs or your medicinal herbs. Does anybody do medicinal ones?
I do.
You do? What do you guys got?
Comfrey.
Comfrey?
Yeah.
Do you actually use it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for what?
I made from Be Your Own Doctor, there's a recipe,
Okay.
there's a recipe in there, and it uses comfrey, I used the root, and I
Okay.
peeled it, and then it's a tincture, and
Yeah.
then if somebody gets a bruise, then we put it on a cotton swab and apply it. And it's
Nice.
Yes.
really
Nice.
healing.
So she is right. Comfrey is actually on my list. It is a wound healer. So a lot of people use comfrey. The leaves, the roots are the best when you have medicinal herbs because that's where all of the benefits are stored. There are in the leaves and the flowers, but not as much. So like if you've ever heard, dandelions aren't just weeds. They came from Europe, brought them over here, and now they're everywhere for us. Thank you. And it's all in the leaves and then the root. The root is the most important because it's got all of the properties in it. But comfrey was number 14 for me. It also is a scar reduction, burn relief, and treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. A lot of this I did just Google just to get a few extra things, but the most well-known thing for comfrey is it's a wound healer. So for like broken bones, bruises, I cannot say that I've actually had it because I don't get broken bones that often. But if anybody tries it, let me know, please.
It
Yes.
does actually work on.
It does?
Yeah, my husband does a lot, like he said he's gotten kicked in the head at home, like they do comfrey or
Yeah.
he's got a cut and he puts in the comfrey tea or makes like a tea and
Okay.
it does work.
Yeah.
It really does.
Awesome.
We use a lot of comfrey.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just got mine last year. But yeah, I do have a comfrey oil at my house just for that reason. Like you just put it in a oil that's really good for your skin. So like almond, avocado, safflower, any of those. A regular old olive oil is great too, but you want one that really works for your skin so that it can be absorbed better, because there are oils that are better for your skin. Okay, but my number one, it's not my number one, just the first one on my list, is peppermint. Who loves peppermint? Who loves all the different flavors of peppermint? Yeah, I love peppermint. It's a great tea, but does anybody know any medicinal properties of peppermint?
It reduces fever.
Yes, so it's a cooling. That's it. Just helps your body cool down, get back to its normal temperature. But it's
For
good.
digestion, it's
Yes.
hot flashes.
Yes, just that cooling ailment in it is awesome. I love it. Stomach issues, sinus issues, because it just helps clear everything out, and headaches. We've heard like the peppermint oil, you rub it on your temples or whatever. It's great for that. Number 2 is lemon balm. Does anybody grow lemon balm?
I do.
One person, 2?
Well, no, I've just started using it for
Yeah.
like a real, like to help me sleep better.
Yes, that is. It is a stress reliever, promotes sleep, calms your nerves, cough, cold, and reduces fever. I love lemon balm. Lemon balm, it's got a great flavor. It is part of the mint family, so we're in zone 5B. So that means it will come back every year. It's perfect. Now, unless for some reason like something gets to the roots and dies or whatever. But other than that, a lot of places do sell it here, and I honestly add it to almost all of my teas that I make. Mixing it with peppermint, chamomile, sage. It's just a good overall, like if you feel a cold coming on, you're gonna take a glass of lemon balm tea. You can put it in cold tea during the day. So you can mix your peppermint, your lemon balm, whatever else we've got here, throw it in there, brew it over some ice, and it's just awesome. Okay, does anybody know anything about calendula or calendula?
I have that.
You do have it?
Yeah.
Yeah? What kind do you have?
I got the orange, like they're orange and yellow flowers. I don't know.
Okay.
Is there different?
There's just a ton of different.
Yeah, I have
I've
like a
got-
mixture. Like
Yeah.
mine was a mixture package, and so I
Okay.
just have like
Yeah.
it's in the front of my herb garden. I make
I
salve
love
with
it. You make what with it?
Salve.
Salves, like what kind?
Oh, it's been a long time. The one like just a very simple like with beeswax
Yeah.
and coconut oil, I believe.
Yeah.
And
What do
it's
you use it for?
my sister-in-law got me the seeds,
Uh-huh.
so I would make salve with it for varicose veins.
Okay.
Really?
Calendula is, it kind of looks like a daisy a little bit,
It does.
but it's excellent for your skin. Like a lot of people use it for eczema or rashes and irritation that you have. You can make a salve, an oil out of it once again.
It was like a go-to
Yeah,
for when
it's-
you have an owie.
Yes, anything that needs the area soothed and taken like the redness out of it. It's also an antifungal and a lymph node stimulant. So you take a glass of calendula tea. I would probably also throw peppermint and lemon balm in that one. And so also something you need to know for herbs is that they're not your store-bought pop-in pills kind of medicine. Like you're not gonna get an instant reaction out of something. It needs to be taken at least 2 times a day. 3 is best, morning, noon, and night, to get it into your body. Whereas pills, you take it 30 minutes, it's all over your bloodstream, you're probably feeling great after that. But this is a natural healer. Like when you take lemon balm, you might not feel it until later that night because you have to take it so much for it to actually do something in your body.
How do you spell that last word you said?
Yeah.
Calendula
Yeah,
or
how do you-
calendula.
It's so much easier just saying calendula.
I know, it does. Calendula. Calendula. And I do have almost all of these seeds with me today. I don't have a comfrey seed or lane seed.
And you have copies of that, right? Just
Yes,
so they know.
actually, if you did want this, you can give me your email or message me on Facebook, and I can send you a copy of this for you, for your records or whatever you want to call it. Okay, number 4, echinacea. Does anybody have echinacea growing?
I have that.
Or another name is
Purple coneflower.
coneflowers. Yes. Those are really pretty. They can get about 2 to 3 feet tall. They're either yellow, white, purple. Most common one is purple, but these are really good for fevers as well. It's a fever reducer, an immune stimulant, anti-infection, and good for sore throats. So what you do is it's actually the leaves, the roots you can do as well, and the flowers. What I've been doing since I want my things to expand is I let it go to seed so that you can get more that next year. But you can just cut the stem off, take the petals off, and dry them. Or just cut the top of the flower off, turn it upside down, and let it dry, and then store it. And then you can use it for tea.
I have tons.
Really? I just got my first echinacea plant last year, and
I have,
it was,
I think,
it was
like
tiny.
a fraction of my herb
That's
garden
awesome.
is.
Okay, number 5 is chamomile. Does anybody know anything about chamomile?
Peter Rabbit's medicine.
Peter Rabbit's medicine. I have not heard that one.
It's relaxing, they're supposed to be
It is.
relaxing.
Yes, it's very calming. It helps with an upset stomach, gas problems, promotes sleep, calming, eye issues. So like if you have pink eye or conjunctivitis, you can take some of that and put it in make a tea out of it, just water and chamomile. That'll help clear that up, and it's a fever reducer. So these, I actually don't have any, but these are also a perennial for around here. Well, kind of. It's self-seeding, so if you're picking off all the flowers, but you let a few of them go to seed, they'll just fall off onto the ground, and I actually had hundreds come up this year. Hundreds of little seeds. I would sit there for like 30 minutes on a bucket in my garden last year, just picking all the little flowers off. And then this year when we were going to move, I was like, I need to go out there and see if I have any on the ground in the garden. And lo and behold, they were literally hundreds of little seedlings because they had just dropped and they had come back. Does anybody know about Tulsi? Or another name is holy basil. Another
That's-
holy grail.
That's what I want. That was on my list. I didn't get that.
Another
I've never
holy
had that.
grail lemon balm. It's amazing. Antimicrobial, anti-diarrheal, diarrheal. Is that the name? I don't know. Anybody know the proper wording of that? Diarrheal. Okay, just want to check. Inflammatory and antioxidant. It helps with the liver, brain, and heart. Anti-diabetic and cough. You just pick some holy basil out of your garden, throw it in your ice water when you're out there, shake it up or bruise it up. That's how you usually get the smell. You take the leaves, crush it up, put it in something. Amazing. I love putting it with lemon balm and holy basil in a tea. My boys love tea. They're like, Mom, can I have some coffee? I'm like, baby, it's not coffee for one, because I'm not giving you any more caffeine. You don't need any. But I'll get you some tea. They're like, yeah, I'll take some tea, please.
So you're saying that you can get the properties of holy basil without even brewing it? Like you can get the nutrients out of, or is that not what you're saying?
No, you can.
Like by crushing it?
Yes, you can make a poultice out of it. So, actually, when we get to it, I'll use Alicia as an example. But I went to go pick grapes up in Michigan at the place. And we're in the white grapes, and there's not that many there. So like the bees are coming because they're starting to die off and everything and all the juices. Well, I got stung twice out there by little bees or whatever. I'm looking around, I'm like, what the crap, this really hurts. And I look down on the ground and there's plantain growing. Plantain are the wide leaf or the narrow leaf plants, the little things that get stuck between your toes if you don't have shoes on out in the yard. Those things.
I bet I could go out there and find
Yes,
some,
you
right?
probably could.
Do you want
You
me
can
to?
take that.
We don't
Sure,
have a
if you
lot,
want
but
to.
you can,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
don't have a lot here. I always look for it.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
actually don't have that much
You take
here.
it, you chew it up, and you put it on the sting, and it took the sting away within 5 minutes.
Did you know that's a good way to stop bleeding?
What? A
Plantain.
Plantain? Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
But you have to chew it out.
Yes.
Like-
You have to get the benefits out of the leaves. But yes, you could do that with holy basil too. A lot of herbs you can do that with.
I had about a year ago. I had hot oil, like it was on my. I got burned with hot
Okay,
oil
yeah,
on
yeah.
my hand, and it hurt. I mean, obviously. And so I soaked it in apple cider vinegar
Yeah.
and water, ice cold, for an hour, and it felt okay in there.
Yeah.
But then when I got it out, it just hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And my husband, he just was like, well, you're just gonna have to suck it up, and we're just gonna wrap this thing, we're gonna put B&W on it, and we did, and it hurt so bad, I was like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do better than this, and so I got my bio and doctor book out, and
Uh-huh.
it talked about plantain, and I went out to in my yard and picked a
Make
bunch.
sure you don't spray your yard though or fertilize
Oh.
it. That's because all of those chemicals that are going down into your yard are coming back up into your grass and your plants, your weeds or whatever. So if you are going to get stuff out of your yard, I would suggest getting it before you fertilize the yard or whoever fertilizes it and put it in your garden. And that way you have like 2 or 3 dandelion plants in your garden. And then
into your garden?
put them into your garden, and then that way you know they're safe to use. Because you don't want to be chewing up something and then your husband had just sprayed
That's why we don't
Roundup.
spray.
Yeah. So,
So anyway, I put it on there. I put B&W and then the plantain, and within 5 minutes,
Yeah.
it didn't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
And before that, it was waves of pain.
and you can just make an oil out of that too if you wanted. Just dry, or let the water evaporate out of the leaves for a little bit. Let them dry out for about 12 to 24 hours. Put it in a little mason jar or whatever size jar you want. Halfway up to 2/3, pour oil on top of it, and that's called a cold brew. Is it a cold brew or cold something? Where you're not heating it up. And then after about 6 weeks, you can strain out the leaves, and then that oil you could use for that instead. So like during the winter, if you were to burn yourself again, you could use the oil. Yeah. Or use the dried leaves and just make a tea out of it, and then do it that way. Yeah. Okay, number 7 is sage. I personally love pineapple sage. Does anybody have pineapple sage? Oh man, you guys are missing
I think I
out.
just have plain sage.
Yeah, plain sage is fine. I personally love pineapple sage. It literally smells like a whiff of pineapple, like a very faint. It's amazing. So if you can find it at your local greenhouse or whatever, I suggest getting it because I love it with some lemon balm and holy basil.
I feel like she's selling lemon.
I do have some, but not that much. But it's good for headaches, stress reducer, reduces inflammation, protects against bacteria and viral infections, sore throats, helps with memory loss and upset stomach. So the pineapple sage, all your different, like there's 100 different basil varieties, right? So you've got your Thai basil, your sweet basil, your Genovese basil, your Emily basil, your cinnamon basil, your whatever
Large
basil,
leaf basil.
yeah, whatever. They all have slightly different medicinal properties. So you want to look stuff up before, but usually they still kind of have about the same broad properties in them. So like for pineapple sage, it more or less helps with a stress reducer and upset stomach. So that's why I have like 2 to 3 of the same herbs all over my yard. So I let one go to seed so I can save it, one to actually harvest off of, and then the other one's probably just in case I need more of it. Next is oregano. Who likes cooking with oregano? Oh yeah, our spaghetti, do we all put it in our spaghetti? There we go. Antioxidants, reduces viral infection, and possibly helps with anti-cancer. I've heard a lot of really good things about oregano oil. If you do essential oils, that's really good. Next is yarrow. Does anybody know what yarrow is? I bet some of you have it growing in your landscape and you didn't even know that it was a medicinal.
I don't have any, but I
No?
mean, I've gone and found some and
Yeah,
picked it.
you can usually get it probably about $8 to $12 at your garden centers because it is a perennial. It comes back every year, but it's good for nausea, soothing skin ailments, which I use it for, reduces fevers, fights bacteria, and it's good for cough and sinus infections. I like making yarrow salves with it. Number 10 is lavender. Who loves some lavender?
Somebody had a question.
Oh, sorry.
No. Where did you find yarrow? I've been trying to find it all year and I haven't been able to find it.
I got you some.
Oh, seriously?
Okay. It's real teeny tiny, but I got some.
Hey, sweet. Okay.
Okay? Girl with the baby's got 1 yarrow. You gotta put that back.
Ms. Brooke.
Lavender. Who likes lavender? I've got like 6 plants in my pots up front. Helps improve sleep, which probably a lot of you have heard of. Soothing for some skin pain. Like you get a burn and you have the essential oil, you can put just a little bit on that and that helps with that. Reduces blood pressure and heart rate and promotes hair growth. Have you ever heard that?
Huh.
I have heard that putting a few drops in your mascara will help lengthen your lashes. I have not noticed it because I don't wear makeup enough. I know, it's probably hard to tell, right? Because I look so good right now. But I think if you were to use it every day, or you can get a clean bottle, just one with a wand on it, and then put a little bit in or on your eyes every day, it would help. Just don't get it in your eyes.
It actually helps. Like if your
Yeah.
mascara gets clumpy,
Yes, put a little
and then
bit
just put
in
some
it.
lavender in it, and
Yep.
it will unclump.
And then your eyes smell beautiful too for your hubbies or whoever. They just walk by you and you flutter your eyelashes. It either can make them sick or depending on how you like your lavender.
I have 2 plants, 2 lavender, but
Yeah.
how do you process it or how do you do with your lavender plants?
So I just harvest it off. So I'll take it and you can let the whole thing dry. So you've got your stem of it and then just let it dry on a paper towel for a while. Or if you have a dehydrator, you can put it on that. And then once it's all dry, you can just crush it up. And if you get the stems in there, it's totally fine. There's actually benefits in the stem as well. And then you can just store that. You can put it in tea. You can make another oil out of it to put in like soap, shampoo, salves, lip balm, whatever. Anything else? Do you know, does everybody know how to harvest herbs? Harvesting, there is a way to harvest it the right way. So just like Clara said about the suckers for the tomatoes, what you want to do is usually there's another plant or a branch coming out right there. That's a whole nother branch, and then that branch is going to tee off into more. So what you want to do is you want to take it, and when you see the new growth in the elbows, you pinch right above that, because when you pinch off the top, it's just going to get bushier. So instead of it growing straight up, it grows more out and fuller.
Okay, can you say that? I have a basil plant.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's actually
so-
for peppers too. What you
Okay.
want to do is instead of them growing straight up, after a while you take that top off and then they'll just get big and bushy.
Just
Okay.
don't ever take the top off of a
Yeah,
tomato.
not a tomato.
Just don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't do that. Number 11. Who's got cats? Anybody have outdoor cats?
I got catnip.
Do they like catnip?
I got catnip.
Does anybody have catnip growing for your cats?
I don't have it for my cats. I just have it in my herb garden.
Sure. For what?
Yeah, I just have it in my herb garden. I actually just mix it in with our teas.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good sedative, so it helps you relax, reduces anxiety, restlessness, and your nerves.
Yeah.
But it can also help with reducing fevers as well. There is an herb called feverfew, and it is very bitter, very, very disgusting bitter. But it really helps reduces your fever. So you can make it into a tincture, or I actually have some mixed in with peppermint, and I would just put a little bit more honey in it than usual, just to really, to help get it down. But it's also good for your cat, so you can either dry it up for yourself, and then make a little toy for your cats to play around with, or for yourself. Yes?
When my kiddos were young, I did, we were on the road a lot and they wouldn't sleep right, and so, I can't remember where I read it. It might have been Rachel Weaver's books. She suggested catnip and fennel in, just water or a little bit of juice or tea or whatever. And so I gave that to my children some, and it's kind of like a colic remedy.
So how did you do it with the juice? That's interesting.
It's been a while.
That's okay.
I bought the tincture.
Okay, so you had it a tincture
So
and
it
then
was
you put it
already
into the
made,
juice.
and I just
Okay.
added it like that, but steeping it should work.
Yeah, so you can make like a warm
So you could
juice
just
with it.
you could just do it in a little bit of water and then add it to juice or something.
Yeah. I
But
like
it
that
works.
idea.
Like I could tell a difference if they were really
Yeah.
restless. The catnip and fennel. I don't know if the fennel, like they complement each other.
Was it fennel seed or the actual fennel? Because that's not on my list, but I do have it
It's-
growing.
Probably fennel. I don't remember the seed.
Just no seed?
Yeah.
Okay. Next is the s'mores combination of marshmallow. Who's got marshmallow? With the little puffs, they grow, that's how you get marshmallow. Did you know that? That's not how you get it. Do not plant marshmallow and then wait for the little things to come on. That's not gonna work. You'll be waiting a long time. It helps with coughs, colds, sinus irritation, healing wounds, and a pain reliever. So, Alicia, my friend back there, my neighbor, she came over and she has an abscess on her tooth. I'm like, I got you covered, girl. She's like, what are you having me chew up? I was like, don't worry about the taste. It tastes like grass. It tastes gross. But she wadded it up, put it up there, and she said, like, she went on that cud. She let it sit there for about 10 minutes, and she said it did help with the abscess. So it's like an anti-inflammatory too, so it helps with that. Thyme. Who likes putting thyme on their pizza? I love some good thyme. I just bought a tri-colored thyme. So it's got like a yellow, white, and green. Looks gorgeous in my landscape. Just want to let you know that. It's a very good herb for vitamin C and A, copper, fiber, and iron. So I would take this when I was pregnant. You make a little tea with what? Lemon balm. Lemon balm's always there for you, ladies. Because it's got a really high dose of vitamin C. So that's like for your immune system. And vitamin A is also for your immune system too. It's an immune booster.
You said lemon balm has those things. Vitamin
Lemon
C
balm-
or thyme.
Thyme has the vitamin C, a really high dose of vitamin C. Lemon balm has the fever reducer, relieves stress, promotes sleep.
Just tastes good.
It just tastes good. That's really what it is. We talked about comfrey, rosemary. Who likes roasting a turkey with rosemary?
I have rosemary. I never use it.
Oh,
I
man, I
know.
love rosemary.
And I
Oh.
make a lot of turkeys. That's so sad.
Oh, that is sad. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, helps with digestion, and helps with brain aging. So what's brain aging? Memory loss, yeah. Yup. I should probably start taking that every morning with my collagen. So instead of my protein shake, I'll just throw some rosemary in the blender. And number 16 is a freebie. Does anybody know what my freebie is? So I have 15 herbs, my top 15 herbs right now. They might change next year. But my free one for this year, can anybody tell me what it is? It's over here. No, not dandelion. It's over here on the table. No.
Chives?
No. Lamb's ear. Woolly lamb's ear. And can you tell me why I chose it for my freebie?
Toilet paper?
Boom! Free toilet paper in your yard. Seriously. I was watching a YouTube video like a year and a half ago, and she's like, I have actually used it, and it works great. It's better than real toilet paper. So I'm just saying, if you need to wipe while you're outside and you're in the vicinity of your woolly lamb's ear, you know what to go and pick. I would probably
If you
just
have an
suggest getting
outhouse, plant some around.
There you go.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yes.
Hey,
Just make sure it's a bigger
with your
leaf
tiny house.
because it might be messy.
Outhouse with some wood.
But it's also good for sore throats. Helps with overgrowth of yeast in the body. So I like to take it as a tea for when I get more yeast infections. I've just been prone to them. I like my carbs and my sugar, so I get them a little bit more. With lemon balm and assists with heart and liver health, and then it's a makeshift Band-Aid. So it can help soak up the blood. What? Oh yeah, I did do that too. She's a real good experimenter.
Yeah.
You need someone like her living beside you. If you want to test your herbs out on somebody else. An antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, and antibacterial. But I'm sorry that took a little bit longer. But
You're fine.
I really like herbs. Okay. I do not know everything about herbs. It's very hard for me to remember things about herbs, but I've always got books. We've got Google until that shuts down or whatever. But yeah. So if you guys have any questions about herbs, I will be more than glad to, like Clara said, try to help you.
What's the easiest way to dry chives?
I would a dehydrator probably. Yeah. I would leave them whole and then crumple them up after they dry, and then just store them in a container. Yep. Anything else? Okay.
I think glass works better, like
Yes.
jars.
Yeah,
Rather
I
than
have
plastic.
lots of mason jars. I actually brought, that's not really cat, but this is how I do store. So like I have my yarrow leaves and flowers, my lemon balm. I do have 2 of these, but holy basil. But I did make little tea bags for everyone. So you can, there are different ones in here like lemon balm, orange, and chamomile. Peppermint, mint, basil, apple mint, there's a bunch. So if you would come by my half of the table later, you can pick out one tea to take home. And then if you can, I would love for you to tell me how it was. That would be awesome. So
Thank
can
you.
message me.
So much,
Yes.
Stacy. Who learned so much from her? Oh my gosh, do you now understand why I asked Stacy to share about herbs? I have a huge passion about herbs that I have like a lot up there. I like growing them. And then
Looking at
and then they're up there. And so and I'll like grow some and I'll be like, this year I'm making, the salve and I'll grow it and then I won't do it again. And then I'll find something else. And so it's awesome to have, like it gets me fired about herbs and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to like completely start over again because my herbs are kind of not mine anymore. Because they're sold, the property is sold. So I could dig them. I mean, I could probably take starts of most of them, but it's okay. Like she said, they self-seed really fast. But thank you so much for sharing, Stacy, and really, really appreciate it. And so for the rest of the night, I want everybody to have an amazing time. There's food over here. Help yourself. I will get all of that set up, and half of that table is Stacy's stuff. She brought so much, and I'm so grateful for it. I have some tomato plants up here. These are all heirloom. Some of them need water really bad. I was kind of busy and didn't get them watered yesterday. I could have put them out in the rain. And then just like I said, if you brought something, just feel free to go up. There's plenty for I mean, Stacy brought like a table full of stuff. There, everybody will go home with something. But just, yeah, feel free to talk, ask, like, mingle. Just let's have an amazing evening of sharing and just, I don't know. I would love to learn from you guys because I know there's some amazing gardeners in here. And I mean, I started off with hating gardening 8 years ago, and it is my passion now. And so I'd love to hear your stories. So, thank you guys for coming out, and
Thanks
enjoy.
for having us.
Thank you so much for joining me at the 2020 Seed Swap, and don't forget to hit subscribe and to find me on Facebook for at Redemption Farm so you will be notified for the 2021 Seed Swap.